Hi, and welcome to the second episode in our Selling in Asia podcast, where we want to bring you all things sales in the Asian context. And continuing from our last conversation and trying to explore a little more about the different sales people's personas, the hunter and farmer, I have with me again Mike Griffin, founder and CEO of Elevate. Mike is in Shanghai. Zhaoan, Mike.
On, as they say. Yes, I'm in beautiful Shanghai.
I can see that
I'm
bund view. It's
yeah,
beautiful.
right outside the tower there, at the what is it, Jin Mao building, which used to
Yeah,
be the
yeah.
highest hotel in the world. So I'm on the 83rd floor, enjoying the view, not too polluted. So good to be back. I've not been in Shanghai now for a few years, before COVID. So back here looking at doing some regional sales training deals with some of my partners here.
Wonderful.
So welcome me. How are you today, Abby?
I'm doing very well, and I am in your hometown, Singapore, and looks like you and I I flew south and you flew north, but that's how the world of regional salespeople is, isn't it?
That's right. That's right. And
Good.
you and your job with Cisco before, you had massive responsibilities, what, in China,
Japan,
Japan,
Korea,
Korea.
yeah. And before that,
Yeah.
I was
So,
doing India. I was, with the
wow,
big accounts, yeah, all over the place. So yeah,
all over.
but it's a lot of fun. I think the travel, as much as the airplane exhausts you and the airports exhaust you, but the experience of being in different places, the whole cultural
Mm.
dimensions that you bring in, which you are sort of the master of, I think that's just fantastic. But I just want to thank you, Mike, for taking the time again. I always catch you in the middle of either a training program or some business meetings. Hopefully you and I can get together before I fly out and we can talk, but thank you for carving the time out today. I want to basically,
Wait. I
yeah.
just want to let the audience know one thing. When Abby says jump, I say how high.
谢谢你，谢谢你。
That's it.
Mike, I wanted to catch you on that one piece that you brought up last time we talked. You talked about, the hunter, you said not all salespeople are equal. There's the hunter, there's the farmer, there's the large account manager,
Mm.
there's the product seller, solution seller. I know you talked about a lot, but I wanted to simplify this down to just picking those two fundamental types. And the reason why I'm doing it is because with the
Mm.
drive to growing business, a lot of companies, a lot of people want to say, hey, I want to find someone who can hunt for new business. And, before they get to it, I just wanted to understand what are these two types. I have some kind of a view, but I'd like to hear from you and then kind of share some of my views on these two different types of salespeople.
Yeah. Well, as you know, the personalities of a hunter and a farmer can be quite different. So I found most organizations do not look for hunters and farmers separately. They have a tendency to throw salespeople into the same bucket, or all on the same sales team. But each type, hunter or farmer, has a bit of a different personality. So I did some research in America, and many years ago, I ran into Chally Group, and they have the largest database of salespeople, sales teams, and sales managers in the world.
Wow.
And yeah, and their profiling for salespeople, a bit of history, is they won a contract from the U.S. government to predict good policemen. Because
So
in America,
they started off for law enforcement.
yes, finding out good policemen, because in America, a bad cop can cost the city millions of dollars. Well, they won it, and the survey was predictable. They could predict a bad cop as well as a good cop. So they said, well, we don't make much money doing this. What if we could apply this to salespeople? And of course, they became the best in the world in terms of profiling salespeople and predicting their performance. And in this case today, around hunters and farmers.
Okay.
So now, just before you show the screen, they've identified what I call the thoroughbred competencies of any sales position. So if you're going to buy a thoroughbred racehorse, you don't really care too much about the tail, or the neck. You look at the VXO or VOX, and you
Yeah.
look at the leg muscle. Well, Chally's identified usually in every sales position the top 5 to 7 competencies that really matter. So, for example, if you got a hunter who's doing really well, and he's got all the competencies to be a hunter, but he's not doing a CRM very well, you're not going to fire him for the competence of throwing, not doing a CRM well, So Chally's
Okay.
been able to identify the top competencies for many sales positions. And
I,
today we'll look at the
I've
top ones.
I had a
Yeah.
smirk about that as you said that, Mike, because the CRM part is often, you have organizations that have now driven the CRM into their, they say that's in our DNA, and it's often seen as, the salespeople will see it as, oh my God, administrative time away from my
Yes.
customer. But I get exactly what you're saying. I mean, yeah, that's not the most important, trait that one needs. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Every salesperson may have over 100 competencies or areas he or she has to do. But what are the top ones in terms of selling as a hunter or a farmer? Yeah.
Got it.
So that's a bit of
Before
history there.
before I bring up the screen and just going to look at those two, I also want to spend a couple of minutes, Mike, just to get your perspective. Now, you've hired several salespeople. You mentioned last time that there's been a lot of cases where you've not been successful. Um,
Yeah.
just give me a little bit of a color from your perspective as a business owner. You're trying to grow the
Yeah.
business. You're trying to maintain a lot of customers. What have you seen as the value these two people bring, and can one go do the other, and are they trainable, or is it just this preset world of, if you're a hunter, you're a hunter, and if you're a farmer, you're a farmer? What's your view on that?
Well, my view is number one, most companies don't look at that, and they should. Number two is, let's face it, I have a few key accounts that we've been working on for, 10, 20, 25 years, and it's farming. So sometimes I have to farm. So it's like sometimes you have to adapt
Yep.
to farm, and you have to adapt to hunt. But we all have let's say, a core person that we would enjoy doing more. It's sort of like the motivators from TTI, that if we're in our strength zone, enjoying what we do, we're going to be more successful at it.
Got
So
it.
yeah, you got it. So you can ride a thoroughbred horse and in a corral, and after they're old, put a kid on it, but you've bought the thoroughbred horse to run races, and you hire a hunter to hunt and a farmer to farm.
So it's a bit like there's the innate nature, and then there's some things you can nurture.
Yeah, there's a bit you can nurture. So
Yeah.
based on, remember our first podcast, we looked at the attributes, and some of them are motivational that you want to really look for early. And Chally taught me hire on motivation, hire on the resilience, the motivation of a salesperson, and train later. And this also applies to sales coaching. Hire a sales manager that's got the motivation to coach, to teach, to go out on a joint sales call, and then train them or nurture them in the skills. So, and now think about this: if I hire some hunters and salespeople, some farmers, I'll probably give them the same B2B selling skills, wouldn't I?
Okay.
I'm not going
Yes.
to adapt skills too much. They have to learn to ask questions. They have to know their product knowledge, how to close. So the skill sets are the same, but how they're motivated to use the foundational B2B skill sets will be different.
So identify the strengths, play to those strengths so that you can maximize the potential that is there.
Yeah, and then get the foundational skills, and then they will adapt them to their own way of selling, like asking good questions or presenting solutions and stuff. Yeah.
Fantastic. What I'd like to do now, Mike, is, if you'll give me a second or two, I'll bring up the screen, and hopefully, we can discuss once the screen comes up. Let me know if you can see that. Bring it up here.
Yeah, you have to, a competency of handling Zoom. Your competence is very good there, Abby. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's become an essential skill now.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I've done here is a sample profile. It's a sample profile. It's not a particular individual, but it's more of an illustration of to bring out what you were saying, top competencies, and what the scoring is. And obviously on the left side of my screen are the hunter, new business development, and then the farmer on the right side. And then there's a series of 6 different skill areas, and there's this scoring. If you don't mind just explaining to us, first of all, you've told us the identification of what's most important. We get that. So those are the 6 areas under each of these categories. How is that scoring done? It's a percentage. Is it an absolute percentage? Is it a percentile? Can you just tell us a little bit more about that first?
Yeah, number one, the competencies you see for hunter on the left
Yeah.
and farmer on the right, the competencies are ranked from most needed in this job to the number 6. So lead development would be the top competency to look for in hunters and
New
in
business
farmers.
development, you got to go after leads. Yeah, absolutely. Makes sense.
And then goal orientation, meeting goals, KPIs for farmer. Now, the scoring. The scoring is based on the largest database of salespeople in the world. And it's just not an American database. There's plenty of Asian and European data in here. And these are percentile scores. So if you score, let's say on lead development under hunter, 86% percentile, you are better than 86% of the salespeople in this huge database. So anything above 60% tile is world-class. 50% would be average. And you really don't want to hire anybody that's got a lot of percentiles below 50. And if they get below 40, maybe not good to hire the person. So 1 or 2 under 40 is okay, trainable, as you've mentioned earlier, but you want to get all scores above 50 and if possible above 60. Yeah. Does that explain it there?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it seems quite logical because if you had a large database, the 50th percentile is sort of the median, if you will. So you want someone above that to be ideally placed, and then you train them up on those skills. If what I'd like to do is just kind of go into that hunter a little bit, and then after that, the farmer. There's obviously those 6 skills. Give us a little more about those. I mean, so, what was the basis for those 6 being the most important, and is there a basis for the order of those skills?
Yeah, the lead development is number 1. So go out and hunt. Go get into the forest and look for the game to shoot. Let's say.
Yeah.
So they're ranked from highest to, and not lowest, but highest to the number 6. And a competence can be a skill as well as a motivation. So developing leads, motivation or skill?
I think it's mostly motivation. You got to be driven to picking it up and identifying it first, right? And saying, oh, I need to explore this, rather than I'm not quite sure if I want to try that. I might fail. I'd be like, hey, let's give it a shot.
Yeah, so lead development is more a motivation and know when to quit, don't go after the lead, and when to go. Problem solving, more of a skill. Of course, there's communication there, but a skill. Qualifying is asking good questions. So early in the game of hunting, qualify the customer. Is this customer worth nurturing or not? Or do I move on to another customer? So the ability to qualify, ask questions.
Pretty valuable, because one of the things I learned early on is a smart salesperson is also a person who knows when to quit that particular pursuit and move to the next most opportunistic. Actually, there is a skill. There's a competence called opportunistic, right? Yes.
Yep. Yeah. You see it down there. Yeah. So then commits time and effort. This is resilience. And another term for this would be resilience and persistence. Because I don't know if maybe our audience knows this, but usually to hunt takes 6 to 7 times the energy and effort compared to farming.
Wow.
And this is across agrarian societies, how man has evolved. Well, it also applies to hunting customers versus farming. So that hunter has to have excellent resilience, persistence to move ahead.
I once saw this interesting description on, and a lot of people may have opinions about this, and it basically said you should be a person who knows that true success doesn't come from 9 to 5, but from 5 to 9.
Uh, yes, yeah.
That's the level of
I
effort one needs to put in.
Yes, effort. But you just to clarify that, you don't want to sacrifice your family though to be a hunter. Okay, all right, okay. Let's just clarify that. Okay,
Okay.
closing skills. Skill, and then opportunistic. Abhi, I see you as a very opportunistic person. I've seen it in your career. Why don't you elaborate what makes an opportunistic hunter? Go for it.
So back to tying with to that qualifying and the fact that a smart salesperson knows when to quit and move. And I think that's the opportunistic side in me that goes like, if something is not adding value, and it works both ways. If I'm not adding value to you, you're not adding to me, perhaps it is time for us to both find something else that is a better contributor and value return to our time, right? Whether we like giving back, maybe there's another avenue to give back where I can get better satisfaction out of it, get better sales results. And that's, I think, the opportunistic part is when you're able to say, if there's time spent, there's an opportunity cost to it. And I want to therefore spend my time where I have the best possible return, right? But I'm speaking like a finance person, but in lay terms, it's really the value of your time that you want to place, and that's how I see that.
There is another aspect that's very
Okay.
important. You have to be a visionary. If you're really good at being opportunistic, you have to see the problem or the need before the customer. So you're already like the navigator on the plane
Ah,
who's navigating around the thunderstorm or before the pilot maybe sees it because he's checking the engines. You have to be visionary and see things before the customer. And this can be based on your experience, your gut feeling, or just your analytical ability. But that combination of being efficient on the time spent, am I going to, like you said, serve the customer well, and am I going to win on this? But that visionary, seeing it before
so
anybody else does,
you
crucial.
see the need, even if the customer hasn't seen the need,
Yes,
or
yes,
they haven't realized there is a need.
yes, yes.
You've seen it in your head, and now your job is to convince them that, hey,
Yeah,
there is a need, and that's the you're finding the opportunity to sell if
yeah.
it's right. Yeah. Okay.
Right. So you can see all the companies that are doing AI are trying to train their salespeople to be opportunistic. How can they see where AI will fit into their client's company before the client does? Because maybe the client's a bit ignorant. So that visionary aspect is crucial in a farmer, or sorry, a hunter. Yeah. Good.
I would actually think that it's also crucial in a farmer, and sometimes maybe even more in a farmer,
Yeah.
because they only have a patch of territory to work with, and they have to basically go
Ah.
after needs in there, right?
Well, let's switch to the farmer.
Yeah, let's do that.
Avi, where do you see opportunistic in these 6 competencies here? Where's the opportunistic part in the farmer?
Desire to increase business.
Exactly. So there is a bit of opportunistic there, but he has to work. He has to work the patch. He has to work the crop area to do
Yeah.
that. Where the opportunistic person may be a bit more broad. Yeah. Okay. So let's move to the farmer.
Yeah.
Uh, there's no good or bad. If you're a farmer, fine. If you're a hunter, fine. If you're a large account manager, fine. It's just doing what you could enjoy doing. And yeah. So remember, Chally is predictive. This profile is predictive, these profiles, not just how you are today, but predicting how good you'll be. So goal orientation, Abby, what do you think? Skill or
I think
motivation?
it's a driver. It's not a skill. You gotta have it in you.
Yeah, got to have a goal. So again, as Zig Ziglar, our famous pioneer of sales training and sales, said, if you aim at nothing, you are sure to hit it.
I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that's old Zig Ziglar. And it's amazing how many salespeople and sales managers at the farming level do not get their salespeople to focus on a goal. Oh, I'll just go collect some information and visit. No. Be specific. How do you want to move the account ahead? So
So
this is
every
crucial.
sales meetings, every sales call, and it's not about probably more so in a farmer's case because it's their one patch. They should know it, so they should have a very clear agenda and an outcome of that sales meeting, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. An outcome. So goal orientation. Number two, desire to increase the business. It's like farming the cornfield or the paddy field, right? You have the patch and you farm it and you do it well. So there is that opportunistic. So in this case, also both the farmer and the hunter have to have good product and solution knowledge and good market knowledge. So they know where to find the opportunity in the farm patch or the rice paddy or in the landscape of the marketplace.
Got it.
Now, so that's again motivation,
Yeah.
willingness to work the system for the customer. This I have to explain.
Yeah.
This is working your system for the customer. So you get an opportunity, you discuss with the customer, and you have to go back to your company, talk to your boss, maybe talk to production, maybe talk to finance, and nurture the deal by working your company's system to get the deal to work for the customer. That's what this means. So not only are you a good salesperson for the customer, but you can sell internally and get maybe the finance to bend the rule or production to adjust the product a bit. What do you think about that?
So the innovation that is needed from the supplier's side in order to win the business, that as a supplier salesperson, you are responsible to orchestrate that innovation that is needed, right? Whether it's
Exactly.
the
I like
business
that word.
okay.
Yes, orchestrate internally.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a big one. And I've seen in many companies, a salesperson may give up or doesn't have good relationship with customer service, production, finance, et cetera, but they got
This
to.
is very, very critical. Having done some of these large accounts, I think this is probably the single most challenging. We often have a saying, the customer is super easy to sell to. Selling internally is a nightmare.
I like that. Okay.
So this
All
is
right.
really that. Yeah, go ahead.
Now, commitment to explain and clarify customer issues. Um, you could see this borders a bit on customer service. Usually the farmer may have to handle issues based on past sales and past service.
Mhm.
So they have to have the patience and the ability to explain and clarify issues with the customer that the customer may have with your company, product, etc. So they're a bit of a bridge between selling as a farmer and customer service. So this is having a bit of empathy, not a bit, empathy, patience, good solution knowledge. And again, going back to the previous competence, you better have good relationships with your customer service department, finance, because there could be issues there.
Logistics,
So,
it could be manufacturing, it could be any of your internal
yeah,
departments, right? Yeah.
that's right. But being able to explain. So today we had an issue of a late mastery test with a customer. There was internal problems with the software. So my colleague and I decided we better send the customer an email to tell them about the issue, again, to keep them informed, again, to show commitment to serving them.
Yeah.
And there we are. Well, there it is. Right below, customer relations.
Yeah.
It This is, I think, a combination of both serving and skill. Hunters are usually a bit more impatient, a bit more pushy, but the farmer has to have good customer relationships with his client and wait for the wait for the right weather, the timing, the element of working with the customer, collaborating, just like a farmer would do with the weather, the seed, the fertilizer, collaborating with the customer to make it a win-win cubed, a win for the customer, a win for the salesperson's company, and a win for the salesperson.
Oh,
Comments, Abby?
that's the win cube.
Yep, the win cubed.
Yeah.
Now, last but not least, Abby, here it is. With
I like it.
The willingness to respond any hour. Now, with hunting, it's probably not a big deal because the account's not closed yet, so the customer's not on you to solve, to help. So this willingness to respond any hour is crucial. And I must congratulate Manish, our training director, that he exemplifies this in our company. Our clients love Manish because his willingness to respond at any hour and having good customer relations is a key exclusive benefit of our training company. So Manish, thank you for that. Give Manish a hand there. So that willingness. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This is very critical as well, because oftentimes you have competition that is, you might have you might be a farmer, you've got the little patch, whether it's a set of accounts or a territory, and your competition is constantly trying to get in. And this is probably one of those areas which will ensure that they don't get in. Because
that's right.
If you don't answer that phone call because, oh my God, it's dinner time, guess what? There's someone else who will pick his phone up and answer.
Now, you've hit another, as they say in Boston, ikatan or nail or tie. Look at how many of these things show trust to the customer, willingness to work the system, commitment to explain, customer relations, willingness to respond. This builds the high trust relationship that the farmer must have with the customer to, like you just say, keep that competition out. So this ability to build trust and long-term relationships is built into these 6 competencies here. Now, Abhi, assuming you're the sales manager and you've analyzed this salesperson, what job would you give him?
Can I stop sharing first, Mike, and then answer that?
Yeah.
Okay. And the reason is, that way I get to see more of you. And so when I looked at those two, clearly, I see on the farming side, I don't see as much of a goal orientation and desire to increase the business, which would make me feel like if you're not innately driven, and in a farmer, that is a lot more important, that you're innately driven, because you don't just have any white space to go and get business. You've got that same turf in which you need, as I say, you need to hunt the farm or hunt within the farm. And so you've got to be really driven. I don't see that very strong in that sample profile. I tempted to make this person a hunter.
Yeah, well, the scores, it's obvious he's a hunter. So first you'd look at the scores. First look at the scores and say, wow, he's world class, and then go into your own analysis. So let's just first look at the scores and say, well, it's obvious this guy's going to make a better hunter. Look at his scores, 86%, that's world class. So anything above 60 is world class. See, where he's fallen down below 40 on goal orientation and a few other things. So yeah, okay, let's go with that. Go ahead, go back.
Wonderful. Okay, I think we've spent a good 25, 30 minutes on this, and I know I don't want to take more of your time with this, but I just want to kind of bring, as I heard you speak and I reflected upon, I probably started off being a very, very aggressive hunter. I've done very, very serious farming roles, and I've seen this difference. And as you were describing them to me, I was also contemplating something that I wrote on LinkedIn a couple of months ago about, everyone talks about customer success as this new function. And I look at it and it's basically a farming salesperson. Uh, right? That's what it is. I mean, it's really growing business with existing customers, but I think they failed to they failed to realize that it's not just giving a person the title of being customer success manager. It's finding the motivation to go out and get business. So I think this is really, really nice. What I also would ideally like, and I think probably take an entire podcast for us to discuss, is I wanted, and hopefully to give our viewers who are managers some value. How does one ask the right questions in an interview to identify these and kind of confirm these scores? That would be an area I'd like to discuss, Mike. And the second, which I'd like, is I want to ensure that we give our audience the opportunity to contact, elevate, to get these kind of profiles. I don't know how easy it is. Do you have a web link or an email? And if you have that, I'd be happy to put it in our description so viewers can contact you if they want to try this assessment.
Yes. Yeah. So Chally is the Mercedes-Benz or the Tesla, or I'm an Asian, the BYD.
BYD.
Yeah, the BYD. It's the most expensive, but it gets the most value. We can talk about interviewing, how sales managers interview later, and getting a good return on the investment you put into your interviews. So yeah, we can do that in another podcast. So
Wonderful.
Abhi, we both agree that our interviewee would make a much better hunter. And he might be able to farm. He may not be so happy. He may be trainable, but he'd probably be much more motivated and bring in new business hunting. So
I saw the lead generation score is top. I was like, that is so valuable, right? To be a hunter.
He's real class there. Yeah. So we would go for him.
Thank you.
Yeah, just one more thing. And then you would manage these people and motivate these people differently, wouldn't you?
Yes, absolutely.
So as a sales manager, you'd look at what they want, what drives them, and manage them differently. So I'll leave it at that. Yeah. Thank you, Abhi.
Wonderful. Mike, as always, thank you. Almost 30 minutes of your time taken. Hopefully you get to ride a bicycle today before you leave Shanghai. I always do that in the Bund area. You rent a bike and ride. It's about 8 kilometers up and down. Hopefully you get a chance to do that. But otherwise, if you don't, I hope to see you in Singapore. I'm leaving Saturday, so if you're here Saturday, we should do breakfast and maybe have a wider discussion about these topics. But all said, thank you very much. And to our viewers out there, thank you for tuning in. We hope you got some value about understanding the hunting and the farming types of salespeople. Hopefully we'll come together another time and discuss a little more as a sales manager, what questions you can ask and what motivations you can provide. And once again, thank you for joining us, and thanks to Mike. And until our next episode, hopefully you'll subscribe, share, and give us a like button if you enjoy this content. Thank you once again.